I told my friends I thought my wife was cheating. They said I was overthinking it. Then one night, I overheard something that changed everything. She's just stressed. That's what they all said, one by one, different tones, same message. He sat on the back patio nursing the same beer for an hour. The grill was still hot. The sun had dipped low, and the guys were halfway through their second six-pack when he said it. I think something's wrong. That's how it started, not dramatic, just that line. They looked up. Marcus was lighting a cigar. Darren leaned back, stretched. Chris glanced at the cooler like maybe this wasn't the kind of conversation they'd signed up for tonight. She barely talks to me anymore, he added. Doesn't look at me when I walk in. Doesn't kiss me goodbye. Nothing. Chris tossed him another beer. She's just tired, man. Marcus exhaled smoke. You're overthinking it. Darren shrugged. Women get weird when they're in their head. It's not about you. He wanted to believe that. God, he wanted to believe that. He twisted the new cap off, didn't drink it. She used to text me in the middle of the day just to say hi, he said quietly. Now it's like pulling teeth to get her to answer a question. Work stress, Darren said. Didn't she take on a new role? She's always exhausted, but she finds energy for everything else. Book club, dinners, that 5K she's been training for. Me, I get the empty tank. Marcus laughed like it wasn't that serious. You get married, the honeymoon phase ends. That's the game. Chris clinked bottles with him. You're good, bro, you love her. Yeah. Then stop sweating the small stuff. She's still there, she still comes home. He nodded. Because what else was he supposed to do? Argue, spill the pit in his stomach that had been there for weeks, growing, tightening, telling him something wasn't right. They passed around snacks, turned the music back up, talked fantasy football and work and someone's cousin getting arrested again. He sat there, nodding, laughing in the right places, eyes drifting toward the edge of the yard, where the trees swayed in the wind like they knew something he didn't. His phone buzzed, a message from her, home late, don't wait up, no sorry, no love you. Just those 5 words, cold, direct. He put the phone down, swallowed the rest of his beer, didn't say a word, but inside he knew. They were wrong. She wasn't just stressed. 3 weeks, 21 days, 504 hours. He'd counted, not consciously, not at first. But the changes were so subtle, so precise, they started arranging themselves like pins on a map. She used to hum when she cooked, not loud, just under her breath like the music lived inside her. That stopped. She used to check on him if he slept in, just a soft, half-whispered, "You okay?" before she left for work. Now she didn't even close the bedroom door behind her. Before, she texted him through the day, memes, dumb things she saw, questions like, what if we lived in Paris? Or what would you do if you won the lottery right now? Now it was logistics, pick up oat milk, thermostats acting up. Are you still on the insurance? No punctuation, no softness. He tried not to panic, tried to give her space. But every time he looked at her, it felt like watching someone slip behind a fogged-up window. He could see the shape of her, not the details. She avoided his eyes when she spoke, gave one-word answers that died on her tongue. You okay? He asked one night. She didn't look up from her phone. I'm tired. Of work, or... She put the phone down, hard. Don't do that. Do what? Make it about you. That one landed hard. He opened his mouth, closed it, nodded. She picked the phone back up and kept scrolling. She never used to take her phone into the bathroom. Now she did. And when she came back, her screen was always cleared, messages swiped closed. Tabs refreshed, like she was worried her phone might say something her mouth couldn't. The hardest part wasn't the coldness. It was how calculated it all felt, measured, clean, like she'd been preparing this distance for a while. He caught himself checking her location on the shared app more than once. She wasn't anywhere suspicious, just not where she said she'd be sometimes, off by a few blocks. A little later than she promised, a detour here. A sudden I bumped into a friend there. He didn't accuse her, didn't yell, didn't snoop, but his gut was no longer quiet. And every time his friends told him he was imagining it, it felt less like comfort and more like cover. The poker game was at Darren's place. Basement. Low ceilings, card table in the middle, fold-out chairs, beer bottles sweating into coasters that used to be CD cases. Same crew as always, him, Marcus, Darren, Chris. A couple of Darren's coworkers who only showed when they needed to win back rent money. They dealt cards, passed chips, made small bets and loud jokes. The room smelled like garlic wings and last-minute deodorant. He was down $20 but wasn't paying attention. He hadn't said much all night. And that's when Marcus looked up from his hand, grinned, and said it. You checking her phone yet? Everyone laughed loud, too loud. Chris smacked the table. My man's about to turn into CSI, suburbia. Even Darren joined in. Just don't go full psycho, all right? Next thing we know you're crawling through the vents. He laughed too, reflex short, tight, but inside something twisted. They were laughing like it was a joke, like paranoia was funny, like the idea of his marriage cracking down the middle was something to tease about, but the joke didn't come out of nowhere. They knew he'd been worried, knew he'd brought it up before, knew he wasn't sleeping right, that the silences at home were getting longer, the temperature colder. They were laughing like he was weak, like he couldn't handle his own imagination. But it wasn't his imagination that told him she flinched when he touched her arm in the kitchen. It wasn't his imagination that watched her smile at her phone more than she smiled at him. It wasn't his imagination that tracked the missed calls, the locked screens, the too long showers at midnight. Still, he let the laughter ride out, let the moment pass, because he needed to see something, and he did. When Chris cracked another joke, bet she's just planning some 50 Shades surprise, huh? He caught it, the flicker, Marcus's eyes just for a second off to the side, like he'd flinched before the punchline landed, like he knew something. Like he was laughing to cover the fact that it wasn't funny. At all, the layoff hit like a wave he didn't see coming. Midweek, mid-call, the manager's voice tight, rehearsed, "We appreciate your contributions," followed by a soft click. No severance, no chance to reapply. Just a locked email account and a company laptop that wouldn't power on past noon. He drove home slow, hands loose on the wheel, trying not to grip, trying not to feel it. The house was quiet when he walked in. No music, no scent of dinner, just the hum of the fridge and the soft sound of his wife on a call in the other room. He stood in the doorway, unsure if he should interrupt. She noticed him eventually. Lowered her screen, pulled out one earbud. "What's up?" His throat tightened. "I got let go." She blinked. "From what?" "The company, they cut 30%. My name made the list." Silence. He expected the hug, the gasp. The way she used to close the space between them when he had a bad day. The way she used to put her hand on his chest and say, "We'll figure it out." But this time, she sighed. That was it. A deep, disappointed breath. Like someone just told her the oven broke before a dinner party. "Okay," she said. "So, what now?" He didn't answer right away. She didn't reach for him, didn't stand, didn't close the laptop. Just stared like she was waiting for him to fix it before it turned into her problem. "I don't know yet," he said. She nodded slowly. "Well, I guess we'll cut back a bit." Then she went back to typing, just like that, no fight. No breakdown, no fear, just absence, like a door closing softly. He sat on the couch for the rest of the afternoon, phone in hand, emails open, job boards refreshing. She didn't check on him, didn't ask if he needed anything, didn't even offer to cook. And he realized something as the light faded from the windows. She didn't see the layoff as something that happened to them. She saw it as something that happened to her, and he was the cause. She stopped saying goodnight. That was the first small thing. It used to be automatic, the soft brush of her fingers across his chest, the kiss on the shoulder, her whisper as she turned to sleep. Even when they argued, even when she was tired, it had been habit. Now, she just rolled over, face to the wall, arms folded tight, and if he reached for her she went stiff, not dramatic, not angry, just unwilling, like contact was now a currency he couldn't afford. "I'm just tired," she said. Every night he believed it at first, let it slide. Told himself the stress was real, that the mood would pass, that she'd bounce back the way she always did, but then he started noticing the other things. How her face stayed blank when he made jokes. How her body leaned away from him on the couch, legs curled toward the other end. How her phone never left her hand, not even in the bathroom. It wasn't the tired that got to him. It was how selective it was. He caught her laughing one night, really laughing, curled up with her phone, thumb moving fast, screen glowing on her face like a spotlight. She didn't see him watching, didn't hear him when he asked what was funny. She just said nothing and turned the phone over. He asked her once casually who she was texting. "Just friends," she said, "work stuff." But her tone was clipped, and her eyes didn't meet his. The energy wasn't gone, it just wasn't for him anymore. She came alive for the outside world, for strangers, for coworkers, for her phone, but with him everything slowed, like being in his presence drained her battery. He found himself timing things, how long she stayed in the shower, how long she stood by the window when she thought he was asleep, how often she stepped outside for a quick call. She never used to wear perfume to the grocery store. Now she did. She never used to lock her screen when she set her phone down. Now she did. And every night when she whispered, "I'm just tired," as a shield against questions she knew he wanted to ask, he felt himself fading. Not angry. Not bitter, just gone, a ghost in his own marriage. The suggestion came from Chris over the rim of a beer bottle. You should get out more, he said. Come out with us Friday, you need a break, man. He hadn't planned to. He'd turned down the last 3 invites, but this time he said yes, not because he wanted to, because staying home, sitting on the couch while she texted whoever she was texting felt worse. They met at a dive bar across town, Dark Wood. Cheap drinks, a jukebox that never played what you picked. The kind of place where nobody asked questions, and everyone pretended the neon made their lives look less tired. He walked in, and they were already halfway into a pitcher. Marcus raised a glass. Darren waved him over. Chris pulled out a chair. Now this is progress, Chris said, grinning. We thought you forgot how to be fun. I forgot what fun looks like, he muttered. Marcus slid him a full glass. Let's fix that. For a while it worked. They laughed, talked trash, argued about football, made dumb bets, told stories they'd all heard before but still laughed at anyway. And for a brief, fragile hour, it felt like things might still be okay. That maybe this was what he needed: noise, distraction, people who didn't look at him like a mistake. Until the 3rd round, when Darren leaned in and said, You know, for a guy who just got laid off, you're holding it together all right. He smirked. What choice do I have? Chris clinked his glass. That's the spirit. But something flickered in Marcus's face, gone fast, like a twitch behind the eyes. And when he got up to grab another round, Chris leaned in, lowered his voice and said, He's been weird lately, right? What do you mean? Chris shrugged. I don't know, just twitchy, secretive, like he's hiding something. He wanted to ask what, but he already knew. Somewhere deep down, buried beneath the jokes and the drinks and the half-hearted support, he knew the group wasn't clean. The cracks weren't just in his marriage, they were in this. In the people sitting around him pretending they were his foundation. He didn't say anything, just nodded, raised his glass and smiled. Because when a house is burning, you don't scream. You watch, you wait, you look for the smoke you missed the first time. It was late. She was asleep or pretending to be. He walked past the bedroom door to get a glass of water and saw her phone light up on the nightstand. The screen faced up. She never used to do that. A name flashed. Marcus, no last name, no emoji, just that. He stood still in the hallway, not breathing, not blinking, just watching the glow. The message itself didn't show locked, but the name was enough. Marcus, his friend, the same guy who handed him a beer 3 nights ago and said, You need to relax. The same guy who said she's just tired, who laughed when he brought up the phone, who told him you're overthinking it, now texting her. At 12:16 a.m. he stepped back quietly, didn't grab the water, didn't touch the phone. He just sat in the living room with the lights off, staring into the dark, running back every conversation he'd had with Marcus in the last 2 months. The comments, the casual check-ins, the sudden concern, how easily Marcus had defended her, how quick he was to smooth things over. How often he changed the subject when it got too close. It wasn't proof, but it wasn't nothing. And he wasn't crazy, not anymore. He didn't bring it up the next morning. She made coffee like she always did, humming again, but not the song she used to hum, something else, something lighter, sharper. She smiled when she handed him a cup, not big, just enough, like she remembered how. He watched her over the rim of the mug, watched her check her phone, saw the corner of her mouth twitch before she turned the screen away from him. She used to be better at hiding it, or maybe he used to be better at ignoring it. Either way, the question was planted now, and it had a name. Why's she talking to Marcus so much? He dropped the question into the air like it didn't matter. Like it wasn't loaded, like it hadn't been chewing through his stomach since the night her screen lit up in the dark. Chris looked up from his drink, didn't flinch, didn't blink, just raised one brow. Marcus. Yeah, he said, slow. They've been texting a lot. Chris shrugged, took a sip. She's planning your birthday, dude. Too fast, too smooth, too prepared. That answer wasn't made up on the spot, it was waiting, filed, polished, ready. And it wasn't the words that gave it away. It was how Chris didn't ask a single question first. Not why do you ask, or how do you know? Not even a fake look of confusion, just boom response. He leaned back, let the silence grow. Let the lie sit there between them like bad air. Then he nodded slow, cool. Chris forced a smile. Man, you're in your head. Guess so. But inside something shifted, because now the circle was part of it, the protectiveness, the laughter. The dismissal every time he brought her up. They weren't just covering for her, they were covering each other, and maybe it wasn't just Marcus. Maybe that was why they always had the perfect lines. Why nobody ever seemed shocked when he said she was acting different, because they already knew. He left early that night, said he had a headache. walked out into the cold with his jaw tight and his fists in his pockets, replaying the last few months like puzzle pieces spilled on a table. And the image was starting to form, not a face, a group. It happened in front of everyone, living room, Saturday night, the whole crew over, a mix of friends, coworkers, couples. People piled on couches and floor cushions, plates balanced on knees, a game paused on the TV. He was refilling drinks when she said it. Well, since you don't work anymore. Just like that, no warning, no wink. No smile to soften it, just raw, loud, meant. The room broke into laughter before he even processed it. Darren slapped the armrest, howling. Marcus coughed into his drink. Chris leaned forward like he'd just heard the punchline of the year. And she didn't backpedal. She didn't say, "I'm kidding." She didn't look at him. She took a sip of wine, let the wave ride, and moved on like nothing happened. He stood there in the doorway, holding a half-filled cup, the ice melting fast against his fingers. It wasn't the first jab, but it was the first public one, and it landed. Hard, not because it was cruel, because it was casual, like it wasn't even personal, like his failure was entertainment. A punchline for the same people he'd trusted, leaned on, fed. He looked around the room, the same faces that told him to hang in there. The same ones who told him she was just tired, that he was overthinking, that he should give her space. They were laughing with her, and that's when it broke, not the trust, that had been fracturing, not the marriage, that had been cold for weeks. The illusion, the one where these people had his back, where their jokes were harmless, where his paranoia was just that. He sat down, smiled, waited, because the next time he moved it wouldn't be subtle. He said it like he was testing the air, like he needed to hear the words out loud before he believed them himself. "I think she's cheating." It was just the four of them that night, poker abandoned, drinks half finished, everyone slouched deeper into the couch cushions than usual. The kind of mood where the lies hang low and nobody wants to break the surface. The second he said it, the air shifted. Not a gasp, not even surprise, just stillness. Chris looked at the floor. Darren picked at the label on his beer. Marcus, always the loudest, took a long sip and didn't look up. No denial. No outrage, just silence. Then Darren mumbled, "You sure?" He almost laughed. "No, that's the problem. I don't know anything, I just feel it." Another pause, longer. Then Chris, "Maybe you're just going through it, man. Stuff's been hard." Hard's one thing, but her being happy with everyone but me, that's something else. Still no eye contact, not from any of them. He waited, let the silence stretch. Then he added, slow and careful, "I'm not accusing. I'm just saying, if something's going on, I'd rather know." Marcus finally looked up, smiled, too soft, too practiced. "You don't want to go down that rabbit hole, bro." That line stuck, that rabbit hole, like it was deep, dangerous, real. Like Marcus already knew exactly where it led. "I'm serious," he said. Chris slapped a hand on the table. "Come on, man, let's not do this tonight." They were all too quick to move on. Jokes resumed. Another round poured. Sports highlights back on screen, like the whole thing hadn't just happened, like he hadn't cracked the shell wide open and shown them the rod underneath. And they were all smiling too much, too fast, like they were hoping he'd drop it. But he didn't. He sat there watching them laugh, and something deep inside him shifted from suspicion to certainty. Because no one fights that hard to avoid a lie. Unless they're in it. His birthday dinner was her idea. She made the reservations. Sent the invites, picked the place. Italian spot they'd been to twice before, dim lighting, strong wine, fake candles on the tables. The guest list was tight, just family, close friends. The same people who'd laughed at his expense a few weeks ago. The same ones who'd all texted happy early birthday, bro, like they were earning points. He dressed clean, simple button-down, no tie. The kind of look you wear when you want to appear fine even when you're not. She looked amazing. Red dress. Hair done. Lipstick she only wore on photo shoot days. When he complimented her, she just said, "Thanks," without looking up from her phone. The table was long, noisy, full. She was at one end, he was at the other. She floated, laughed loud, held her glass like a performer under spotlight. Midway through the second course, her phone buzzed. She picked it up, read the screen, stood up. "I need to take this." No one asked why. She grabbed her purse and walked out like it was nothing. 2 minutes later, Marcus stood too. "Gonna smoke," he said. No eye contact, no explanation, just gone. He waited 15 seconds. Then followed, not far, just to the edge of the restaurant patio where the dark met the parking lot. Stood behind a half-drawn curtain near the side door. He saw them, not holding hands, not talking close, but walking in the same direction, to the back row of cars, where the lights didn't quite reach. He moved to the edge, slow, steady, careful not to be seen, and there, behind the tinted window of a car he didn't recognize, he saw it. a shape. A movement, her head tilted, his arm lifted. He didn't need to see the rest. Didn't need audio, the image was enough. They didn't rush, didn't panic, because they thought no one was watching. He didn't flinch, didn't step closer. Just turned around, walked back inside, sat down, and poured himself another drink. He didn't confront her, not that night, not the next. He didn't rage, didn't flip tables, didn't fire off texts or demand names. He didn't sleep either, but that wasn't new. Instead, he started logging things, calls, messages, screenshots. Every time she left the room to take a call, he noted the time. Cross-referenced it against shared calendars, location pings, the Bluetooth connection history on their car's dashboard. He built a spreadsheet, not out of obsession, out of discipline. If he was going to unravel, he wanted a map of the threads. It wasn't about catching her anymore. It was about proving he hadn't lost his mind. She moved like a woman who believed in her own lies. Every smile was rehearsed, every excuse polished, every detail offered before he asked for it. That was the tell. Guilty people don't go silent. They go loud. She made dinner, offered massages, asked him questions with interest that sounded brand new. You doing okay? You want to get away for a weekend? I've been thinking we should do a date night. It was all backwards. The warmth came after the detachment, the intimacy after the absence. It wasn't guilt, it was strategy. She knew something had shifted in him, and so did they. Chris started checking in more. Darren sent memes. Marcus texted him out of the blue with, "Hey man, we good." He didn't respond. He was too busy syncing data from her Apple Watch. Too busy matching messages to missed calls to nights she said she worked late. He wasn't a husband anymore, he was a witness to his own life. And somewhere in all the noise, the ache of betrayal turned quiet, not numb, not cold, focused, because clarity doesn't come in explosions, it comes in patterns. And the pattern was now undeniable. It slipped out over drinks, a dumb joke, a drunk mouth. They were at Darren's again, late, cards forgotten, music low, everyone buzzing just enough to let their guard down. Chris was rambling about old parties, nights they swore they'd never speak of. He was laughing too hard at his own stories, interrupting himself, looping back. Then he said it. "You remember your birthday?" He grinned, glass sloshing. "Man, you weren't the only one getting laid that night." It dropped into the room like a match on gasoline. Too loud, too confident. The kind of joke you only make when you think no one's listening or everyone already knows. Marcus didn't laugh, didn't blink, just sat very still, bottle halfway to his lips. Darren coughed, forced a laugh. "Yo, chill." But it was too late. Chris didn't notice, or pretended not to. He kept going. "I mean, I'm just saying, wild night. You know how it is." Marcus stood up, said, "Back in a sec," and walked off like the walls were caving in. No one followed. He sat there watching it all. Watching Darren's knee bounce like it wanted to sprint out of the conversation. Watching Chris finally notice the silence, the way no one else was smiling. Watching the way guilt hit people who thought they were in the clear. And for the first time in weeks, he didn't feel sick. He felt sure. Chris made the mistake of looking at him. "You know I'm just messing, right?" He didn't answer, didn't nod. Just leaned forward and looked Chris dead in the eye. "You think I don't know?" Chris swallowed, the silence roared. Then he stood up and left too, and the room didn't laugh again. He laid it all out across the floor like puzzle pieces, 3 months of call logs, message times. Shared calendar entries that didn't match. Social media posts cropped just right to cut out who was standing next to her. Screenshots, emails, a few grainy photos that didn't need to be clear because the shapes in them said enough. And the voices, the words, the slip-ups. He played them back in his head now like a playlist on repeat. "You weren't the only one getting laid that night. You too, so don't start. Hey man, we good." He traced it backwards. The first text from Marcus that showed up out of nowhere. The weekend trip, she said, was just the girls, where Chris's location suddenly bounced within 5 miles of hers. The way Darren never looked him in the eye anymore. And the timing lined up. It all lined up. This wasn't an affair, it was a campaign. A season. He started catching moments in memories, little things that meant nothing at the time. The way Marcus used to talk about her before they got married. The way Chris always teased them about keeping things spicy. The way she'd roll her eyes and laugh when they joked, "Don't let us steal her." It had always been there, right in front of him. She wasn't just slipping away. She was giving herself away, piece by piece, to the same people who sat at his table, toasted his birthday, called themselves brothers. It wasn't about sex anymore. It was about contempt. They hadn't just betrayed him. They turned him into a punchline. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, the pain dulled, not because it stopped hurting, because clarity replaces pain with precision. He knew what he needed now, not closure, consequence. He heard it through the door, not the one to their bedroom, not the front door either. It was the laundry room, the one that always creaked when you opened it too fast. He'd been in the hallway grabbing a jacket when he heard voices, low, urgent, just a notch above whispers. Two of them, Chris, Marcus. He didn't move, didn't breathe. He just stood there in the dim light of the hallway, the door cracked 2 inches, listening. You said it was just once. Chris's voice, tight, defensive. Marcus fired back, you too, so don't start. Silence, then the sound of something being set down hard, a detergent bottle maybe, or a fist hitting a shelf. I told you not to get involved, man, Marcus hissed. Not like that. You think I wanted to, Chris snapped. You think I planned for her to text me back. You could have said no. So could you. Silence again, then Marcus, quieter now. He's not dumb. Chris, I know. He's watching. Chris, I know. Footsteps, he stepped into the doorway before they could open it, stood there. Still, calm, their faces said everything. Chris went pale. Marcus looked down. No words, no fake confusion, no scrambling for explanations, just guilt. Immediate, heavy, he didn't yell, didn't ask how long, didn't ask why. He looked at both of them, eyes steady, voice flat. You were all I had. They didn't move, didn't defend, because what could they say? They weren't caught. They were revealed. He turned. Walked back down the hallway, didn't look back, because some moments don't need more than truth, and they were already buried in it. He didn't go to work the next day, didn't sleep either. Instead, he sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, phone beside him, light from the screen casting long shadows across the room. It was quiet, suffocatingly quiet, but he didn't play music. He wanted to hear everything. The hum of the fridge, the tap of his fingers, the truth. He started writing, not a letter, not a manifesto, an email. He addressed it to her first, then to Chris's girlfriend, then Marcus's wife, then Darren's sister, the one he used to babysit for, the one who still thought the group was gold. He attached screenshots, nothing graphic, just the receipts, messages, dates, call times, photos that didn't need captions, each one labeled, each one time-stamped. He added a line of context to every image. Calm, controlled, precise, no insults, no drama, just facts. Then he wrote, this isn't revenge, it's record-keeping, I don't want apologies. I'm not looking for forgiveness. I just want everyone to know what they were laughing at. Then he opened his phone, pulled up a group chat from last year's holiday trip, the one where they all posted beach pictures and captions about forever friends. He dropped the zip file there. No message, just silence. He sent it. Then he opened notes, typed out a list. Names, venues, a plan. He wasn't going to scream, wasn't going to fight, he was going to expose. One moment, one room, one final act. And when it ended, he wouldn't ask for anything. He'd just stand there, say what needed saying, and walk, not because it was easy, because it was earned. The invitation went out a week later. Group text, simple, straightforward, just like him. Saturday at 7, dinner at ours, close friends and family only. One last celebration before summer hits, don't be late. No one questioned it, not even her. She smiled when she saw the message. Said, look at you being all social again. Kissed him on the cheek like they were fine, like none of it had happened, like the distance between them wasn't the width of a lie that never stopped growing. He played the part, smiled. Helped plan the menu, cleaned the house, ordered drinks, lit candles, she picked out the music, arranged the seating. Laid out matching napkins like nothing was fractured. By 7:05 the place was full. His family, hers, Chris, Darren. Marcus, all of them, the men who helped him carry his worst days, the ones who poured his drinks, gave their advice, told him he was loved, the same ones who helped themselves to everything behind his back. They came with wives, with gifts, with the same easy laughs they always brought when they didn't know what was coming. She stood at the kitchen island, wine in hand, radiant in a way that made it harder, because she didn't look guilty. She looked confident, like the worst was behind her. Dinner was served, plates passed, jokes exchanged, the kind of warmth that makes you forget the cracks even when you're the one who made them. He waited until dessert was being set out. Waited until everyone was relaxed, open, full. Then he stood up, tapped his glass twice. Everyone turned, he looked at her, then at them, then pulled out his phone, no speech, no warning. Just the sound of his thumb pressing play. And her voice clear, recorded, undeniable, saying Marcus's name the way no wife should. Then Chris's text chain. The late-night message, the joke that wasn't a joke, then a photo. One of her and Darren, arms too close, lips too near. The silence didn't build, it collapsed. Forks stopped midair. Faces drained, her wine glass trembled before she even realized it. He scanned the room, looked each of them in the eye. You all deserve each other, he said, voice flat, then he looked at her. Just not me. He placed the phone on the table and walked out. No one followed, not at first, not even her. He walked down the porch steps slow, like he had all the time in the world, like the weight wasn't on his chest anymore, like peace didn't come from fixing, but from finally putting the tools down. Behind him, the door stayed open. The light spilled out, muted voices tried to come back to life. Someone said his name once. Quiet, then nothing. He got in the car, closed the door, sat still. The keys were already in the ignition, but he didn't turn them, he just breathed. For the first time in months, maybe longer, it didn't catch in his throat. No questions spinning, no what-ifs, no maybe I'm wrong. He wasn't wrong, and he didn't need to stick around to hear them confess. He didn't need closure from people who kept the door locked and the window cracked just wide enough to let him think he belonged. They would spend the rest of the night trying to rewrite the story, trying to spin it, shrug it off, cry, deny. Apologize, it didn't matter, not to him, because the truth wasn't in the details anymore. It was in who stayed silent, and now they had to live with the noise. He put the car in drive, pulled away from the curb like he was done asking for directions. The night swallowed the house behind him, and ahead nothing, just road, open, and this time he wasn't running, he was free. He stood, phone in hand. The table fell silent. He didn't rush, he didn't dramatize, he simply scrolled to the first message. Her voice, recorded weeks ago, "You think he'll ever figure it out." A chuckle, Marcus's, unmistakable. Does it matter if he does? Then a screenshot, projected to the TV behind him, airdropped to her laptop, still open on the island. "Chris, you said it was just me. Darren, if he finds out, I'm done." A photo next from the tinted car window. Blurry but damning, two shapes. One truth he didn't narrate, didn't explain, just let the room go cold, let their own words do the damage. She stood halfway. Wait, what is this? But he held up a hand, no more pretending. He turned toward the crowd, the family, the friends, the wives. "You all played along," he said, or looked the other way, or laughed when you should have asked questions. Then he faced her, calm, final. "You all deserve each other. Just not me." He placed the phone on the table like it was radioactive, then turned, walked out. And this time no one said his name. He didn't cry, didn't shake, didn't check the rear view. He just drove. Streetlights blurred past like apologies that came too late. His playlist ran dry and he let the silence ride. Let the road stretch long and dark and simple. He wasn't headed anywhere, just away. No hotel booked, no next step. No grand plan, just the space between what broke and what's next, and for once that was enough. His phone buzzed, calls, messages, missed connections piling up like wreckage behind him. He didn't open them, not because he was angry. Because he was done. At the next gas station he pulled off, parked, sat under a flickering light, opened his notes app, typed 5 words. Sometimes silence is the answer. Then he closed the app, turned off his phone, and exhaled. Not because it was over, because it had finally stopped holding him hostage. This wasn't escape. This was return to himself, to peace, to the version of him that didn't need proof to trust his gut. To the man who walked out, not to hurt them, but to save himself.
Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. One love.